I recently called off my engagement with my fiancée. After she requested a pause to reconnect with her ex, I sold our home and vanished. Greetings, everyone. After what feels like forever, I, a 27-year-old man, decided it's time to share what's been happening in my life lately. Here's the situation. Until recently, I believed I was set to marry my soulmate, Emma, 26 years old. We'd been together for 4 years, and I thought our relationship was rock solid. But now I'm reflecting, wondering how I missed the signs earlier. Emma and I met at a friend's birthday party through a mutual acquaintance. She was witty, bold, and had a straightforward attitude that drew me in. I'd been in relationships before, but none clicked like this one. We hit it off fast, moved in together after a year, and everything felt seamless. Like we were aligned on careers, marriage, and starting a family someday. She worked as a freelance illustrator while I managed projects for a tech company, so our schedules synced well. Life wasn't extravagant, but it was fulfilling. We'd been talking about marriage for a while, and last year I proposed. Nothing over the top, just an intimate dinner at home. Emma seemed overjoyed. She teared up, embraced me, and said yes. That evening, we started dreaming about our future, an autumn wedding, a small guest list, and a quaint lakeside venue. Everything seemed perfect, or so I thought. The early warning signs were subtle, easy to dismiss. I overlooked them because I didn't want to overanalyze. For instance, Emma's excitement for wedding planning fizzled out after a few months. At first, she was all in, sharing mood boards, browsing dresses, and debating details like whether I'd prefer lilies or peonies for the tables. Then it just stopped. I'd ask, "Hey, have you picked your bridesmaids yet?" And she'd brush it off. "Haven't decided yet," she'd say repeatedly. The same went for her dress, the cake, the music. Every choice we'd been thrilled about became something she delayed. "There's plenty of time," she'd insist. I chalked it up to stress. Planning a wedding can be intense, right? Plus, Emma had a lot on her plate with work. I figured she'd come around. What I didn't see was that her disinterest wasn't about the wedding. It was about us. The real wake-up call came one night when we were out with friends. Someone suggested a silly social media game where you answer personal questions without flinching or judging. It was lighthearted until someone asked, "If you could revisit one past relationship, which would it be?" Without hesitating, Emma said, "Probably Jake." Just like that. Jake, her college ex, who'd betrayed her. The room went silent. She laughed nervously and tried to backpedal, saying, "Not that I'd want to. It's just a big part of my history." I wanted to confront her then and there, but we were with friends, so I held back. Later, when we were alone, I brought it up. "What's with Jake? Why would you pick that relationship to revisit?" She brushed it off like it was nothing. "It was just a dumb game, Ethan. Don't make a big deal out of it," she said with a smile, changing the topic. I didn't push because I didn't want to fight over something that might have been trivial, but it stuck with me. After that, her behavior became harder to ignore. She was glued to her phone, smirking at her messages. She started giving vague excuses for canceling plans or being unavailable. "Oh, I've got a ton of work to catch up on," she'd say, or "I promised my sister I'd visit this weekend." The excuses weren't outright suspicious, but they piled up. It felt like I was no longer a priority. Then came the Friday night that changed everything. I got home early, eager for a cozy evening with Emma. I was thinking takeout and a movie marathon. But when I walked in, the vibe was off. She was on the couch with her laptop, not working, just staring blankly at the screen. "Hey, I'm home," I said, trying to lighten the mood. "You're early," she replied, almost like it was a problem. I ignored it, headed to the kitchen to start dinner, but the silence in the house was heavy. Normally, she'd ask about my day or share hers. Tonight, nothing. Finally, I turned and asked, "Is everything okay?" She closed her laptop, looked at me, and said, "Actually, I need to talk to you about something." My stomach dropped. You know that feeling when you sense something awful is coming, but you're powerless to stop it? That was me, standing there like a fool with a spatula in hand. I sat across from her. "Okay," I said. "What's going on?" She hesitated, searching for words, then just blurted it out. "I've been thinking about us, and about Jake." I almost laughed from disbelief. "Jake? Are you serious? What about him?" She bit her lip, avoiding my eyes. "I think I need some time to figure things out. I want to take a break and see if there's still something there with him." I couldn't believe my ears. "You want to take a break to date your ex? Are you kidding, Emma? We're engaged." She rushed to clarify, as if that softened the blow. "It's not like that. I just need to know if I'm making the right choice with you. If it doesn't work out, I'll come back, I promise." That's when I realized how bold she was. She thought I'd just wait around while she decided if I was good enough. Something shifted in me. I didn't yell or lose it. I just stared at her, wondering how I hadn't seen this coming. I didn't know how to respond at first. My fiancé just told me she wants to pause our relationship to explore things with her ex, Jake. What do you even say to that? Finally, I asked, "So, what does this break mean to you?" My voice was calmer than I felt. She sat up straighter, like she'd rehearsed this. "I think we need space to figure things out. I'll take some time to see if my feelings for Jake are real, and you can reflect on us too." I couldn't believe her nerve. "Wait," I said, leaning forward. "You're saying you need to date your ex, but I'm supposed to reflect on us? What kind of twisted logic is that?" Emma sighed like I was being unreasonable. "It's not about you doing anything wrong, Ethan. It's about me figuring out what I need." Her words sounded practiced, her eyes avoiding mine. It was like she'd already decided this was happening and just wanted me to accept it. "You realize this is insane, right?" I said. "You don't just put your fiancé on hold while you play what if with a guy who treated you terribly?" Her expression hardened, and I saw how stubborn she could be. "I'm not asking for permission, Ethan. I'm telling you what I need." That hit differently. I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. I stood up and started pacing to cool off. "So, what, Emma? You're just going to pack a bag and head to Jake's? That's your plan?" "No," she snapped. "It's not like that. I don't know what it looks like yet, but I need clarity before we move forward. I owe it to myself to be sure." "You owe it to yourself," I shot back, laughing bitterly. "What about what you owe me? We're engaged, Emma. We're supposed to be building a life together, and now you're saying you need to test drive your ex to make sure I'm enough?" "I never said you weren't enough," she said, her voice rising. "But if we're spending our lives together, I need to be certain. And right now, I'm not." That was the final blow. She wasn't just curious about Jake, she was unsure about me. After 4 years, all our plans, she still wasn't sure. It hit me like a ton of bricks. She didn't see how absurd and hurtful her request was. She thought it was reasonable, that I'd just wait while she sorted out her nonsense. I stopped pacing and looked at her, really looked at her. "You know what? Fine," I said, my voice flat. "Take your break." She blinked, surprised I agreed so quickly. "Ethan, I'm not trying to hurt you. I just need space to figure things out." I nodded, keeping my face neutral. "All right, if that's what you need." She hesitated, like she expected me to argue or beg. When I didn't, she stood, grabbed her laptop, and said, "I'll stay at my mom's for a bit. This isn't permanent. We'll talk soon." "Okay," I said simply. She looked at me, unsure how to respond, then went to the bedroom. I heard her packing a bag. I sat calmly on the couch, but my mind was racing. If she wanted a break, fine. Let her have it. A few minutes later, the front door closed. She was gone, probably thinking she'd left me to stew and wait. She had no idea I wasn't going to sit idle. She could chase her fantasy, but I had other plans now. I'll update once things are in motion. This isn't going to end the way she expects. Planning. My buddy Lucas pointed out, "You know she's going to come crawling back when things crash with Jake, right?" He was spot on. The more we talked, the clearer it became that I needed to take charge. This wasn't about revenge, it was about reclaiming my life. I started with the house. Emma seems to forget it's entirely in my name. She loves calling it our home, gushing about the decor she picked, but I'm the one covering the mortgage. I contacted a realtor Monday morning. They toured the property, and we listed it immediately. The market's hot in our area, and we've already got interested buyers. Emma has no clue. She probably thinks I'm moping in our house, waiting for her to sort her feelings. Next, I started untangling her from my life. Those cheesy, live, love, laugh signs she insisted on? Gone. The fancy pillows she had to have? Donated. Her clothes and stuff she left behind? I boxed them up carefully. But here's where I got strategic. Instead of dropping her things at her mom's or letting her pick them up, I hired movers. They delivered everything to her mom's with a brief note. "Here's your stuff. Best of luck with Jake." Some might call this petty, but I see it as efficient. She wanted space to figure things out. Now she's got it, literally. The best part came when mutual friends started asking questions. Instead of playing the victim or bad-mouthing her, I kept it honest. Emma decided she needed to explore things with her ex before committing to marriage. I decided I deserve better than being a fallback. You should see how people react to that. No drama, just truth. It's wild how quickly the narrative shifts when you don't try to control it. I've also been making moves at work. I applied for a role at our West Coast branch I'd been eyeing for a while. If the house sells, which looks likely, and I get this job, I'm starting fresh across the country. Emma's been texting me this week, starting with casual messages like, "Hope you're okay." then escalating to worried ones when she realized I was actually moving on. Yesterday, she freaked out when her mom told her about the boxes. "What are you doing? Why are you acting like this is over?" I kept my response short. "Because it is, Emma. You made your choice, and I'm making mine." She started crying, saying she only needed time to think, that I was being rash, that this wasn't what she meant by a break. "What did you expect?" I asked. "That I'd wait like a loyal dog while you test out your ex? That's not how this works." "But what if I realize you're the one?" she sobbed. "Then you'll have learned a lesson about not taking people for granted," I said, then hung up. The strange thing? I'm not angry anymore. I feel free. Every box I pack, every step I take feels like I'm reclaiming parts of myself I didn't know I'd lost. Lucas stopped by yesterday to help pack. He noticed the change. "You seem different," he said. "More driven." He's right. I am different. When Emma first told me about Jake, it felt like my world was collapsing. Now I see it wasn't my world. It was the illusion I'd been living in. I've got more plans, but I'll save them for the next update. For now, I'll say this. Sometimes, the best way to respond to being treated like an option is to remove yourself from the equation entirely. Stay tuned. This story's far from over, and I have a feeling Emma's break isn't going as planned. Things have ramped up, and I'm here to share how it's all unfolding. Remember that West Coast job? I got it. Perfect timing. The house is under contract, set to close next month. But that's just the start. What's really juicy is how Emma's Jake experiment is playing out. Word from mutual friends is that their rekindled romance isn't the dream she imagined. Apparently, Jake hasn't changed much in 4 years. He's still the unreliable guy who broke her trust in college. But here's where it gets interesting. Emma's been trying to spin the story online, posting vague, uplifting quotes about finding your truth and following your path. So I decided to play her game, but smarter. I posted one honest update. "Big life update. I've accepted a job in San Francisco. Sometimes when one chapter ends, better ones begin. Excited for what's next." The response was instant. Friends congratulated me, asked about the move, and naturally inquired about Emma. I kept it simple and truthful. We're no longer together. She wanted to explore other paths, so I'm exploring mine. That sparked a chain reaction in our social circle. Those friends who were on the fence? Seeing me handle this calmly while Emma posts cryptic relationship quotes flipped the script. Then came the professional fallout. Emma's freelance work relies heavily on referrals and networking. A mutual contact in tech, Olivia, 29, reached out. "I need the real story," she said over coffee. "Emma's telling people you're on a temporary break for personal growth, but something's off." I told her about Emma's plan to date Jake. Olivia was floored. By week's end, several of Emma's potential clients delayed their projects, not because I badmouthed her, but because who wants to hire someone who treats commitments so casually? Emma felt the shift. Her text got more desperate. "Why are you telling people about Jake? You're ruining my reputation. This isn't fair. I just needed time." I replied to her last one. "You got your time and space. How I use mine isn't your concern anymore." Then came the kicker. Jake, in all his brilliance, posted a photo of them at the restaurant where Emma and I had our first date. She was clearly trying to rewrite our history with him. It was pathetic and hilarious. The post didn't last long, but the damage was done. Friends saw it, and the few still buying Emma's finding myself story lost respect for her. Even her sister messaged me, "I'm so sorry for how she's handling this. You deserve better." The best part? I didn't have to be spiteful. I just lived my life openly and honestly while Emma tried to play both sides. The truth always comes out. She showed up at my office yesterday. Jake had already shown his true colors, flirting with others, being unreliable, same old story. She was in tears. "I made a huge mistake," she sobbed. "I was scared of commitment. I thought I needed to see if there was something better, but I was wrong. You're the best thing that ever happened to me." I looked at her calmly. "No, Emma. The best thing that happened was you showing me who you are before we got married." She tried to plead, offering counseling, promising to prove herself. I shook my head. "You don't get it. This isn't about Jake anymore. It's about you thinking you could keep me as a backup while you explored options. That's not love, that's convenience." She left my office in tears, but I felt lighter than ever. The house closes next week, my stuff's mostly packed, and my new life in San Francisco starts in a month. Some people think I'm being too harsh. Everyone makes mistakes, they say. But this wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. Every text she sent Jake, every lie about where she was, every moment she planned to pause our relationship, those were choices. I'll update again after the move. For now, I'll leave you with this. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting better. And that's exactly what I'm doing. This is my final update. Thank Thanks for following along. I've got some exciting news to share. San Francisco is everything I hoped for. My new apartment overlooks the bay, and the tech scene here is electric. My new team at work is amazing. Being around people focused on progress and ideas, not drama, is refreshing. But let me catch you up on how things wrapped up back home. The house sale went off without a hitch, fetching above the asking price. Emma's reaction was priceless when she heard through friends. She didn't believe I'd sold it until she drove by and saw the new owners moving in. Here's where it gets wild. Jake, of all people, reached out to me. He sent a lengthy message saying he never meant to stir trouble and that Emma contacted him months before her break request. She'd been laying the groundwork for her exploration for a while, messaging him behind my back. The irony? Jake dumped her because, in his words, if she could do this to you, she could do it to anyone. Emma's professional life took a hit. Most of her lined-up clients found other designers, not because I said anything, but because word travels fast in the industry. One of her biggest clients even called me. We heard about the engagement. We need someone reliable for long-term projects. Know any good designers? I recommended a talented colleague, and she landed the gig. Karma, I guess. Emma's social media spiral has been a sight. First came the sad posts about losing love, then angry rants about toxic people who can't handle growth, followed by desperate attempts to seem happy. Her latest? A post about launching her own design studio. 3 days later, she was job hunting. Last week, her sister reached out again. Emma's been staying with their parents, claiming she needs to heal from our breakup. Her sister said, she really thought you'd wait for her. Selling the house and moving shattered her fantasy. The most satisfying moment came during a video call with old friends. They shared local gossip, and someone mentioned seeing Emma at a cafe, explaining to a potential client why her portfolio site was down. Turns out she forgot I set it up and maintained it. When the hosting expired, she couldn't figure out how to renew it. Not my problem anymore. My life here is falling into place. I've joined a climbing group, started Spanish classes, and adopted a dog named Apollo from a local shelter. He's a better companion than my ex-fiancé. The tech community's been welcoming. I even got invited to speak at a conference, something I wouldn't have done back home. It's incredible what you can achieve when you're not carrying dead weight. I had one last exchange with Emma. She emailed, asking for old photos from our shared cloud storage. I'd already downloaded what I wanted and closed the account weeks ago. Her email read, I know you're trying to erase me, but you can't just delete our memories. Those 4 years meant something. My reply was brief. You're right. They taught me what I don't want in a partner. Thanks for the lesson. Some mutual friends think I'm too harsh, that I should be more forgiving of her moment of doubt. But it wasn't a moment. It was a calculated choice to keep me as a safety net while she chased something she thought was better. The biggest lesson? Sometimes the worst things that happen lead to the best outcomes. If Emma hadn't shown her true self, I might have married her, only to discover her real character later, maybe with kids involved. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.